Hey guys, RunBuck with RunBuck on Games. Got another three-star locksmith. Three-star locksmith. Let me enunciate a little better for you. But second episode of this, I am enjoying it. It's fun. I think I found what I like to do. But here's the base we had. It was from Noble Heroes. They're number one. A whole slew of people hit this. Nobody was able to three-star. And I don't think everybody. I think I was the only one who was actually using a three-star mix on it. But let's take a look at those so you can kind of feel for what the base is doing well. I guess let's first see Nords. We'll all go 4-speed on these because I mean it's not the big thing isn't the actual attack itself. Let's just kind of see the flows. Here's a classic Hebo flank, Hebo charge, driving into the mid, jump to the town hall, bang, got it down, and gets 50%. So a low percentage, 56. Oh, did I say low? 59. 63. 63. So not bad, but that's the problem with those 2-star strategies, right? Is that you lose so much of your unit strength on these flank cuts that you really don't have finishing power for the 3-star. You can see I also hit this with both my other accounts, but I'll just show you the attempt I did with one time I hit it trying to get a better percentage for Nord because it was actually at that time we thought percentage was going to be important. But then I hit it with one, and then there it is. Here's my initial tag. You see I only got a 1-star on it. And so I was trying to do a bowler walk from the top, doing a little cut to start. I'm such a thinker, congratulations. But notice first the spread that I get on the bowlers. That's a problem for the healers because then they can't keep alive. They're spreading their impact, and so they can't keep alive. The other thing you might have saw there was that the bowlers locked up on this wall with the healers. So it stuck the healers back behind my massive bowlers went swinging wide, which is where I wanted the healers to go. And so we had a problem with, sometimes you'll notice bowlers will lock to if the let's play it one more time and kind of see what happened there. But if some of the bowlers actually cut off the pull through targets, then the trailing group will actually start hammering the wall as a valid target. So they'll start hitting the wall as a valid target, trying to get through to the next target if they can't see anything, but they can see stuff deep. So let's just watch this. So see, these guys are going to actually screw the other guys right there. So see how they've cut it out, and these guys can't see this, so they're diving for this. And oh, by the way, the healers are on them. So the massive guys, and then now, granted, in the midst of that war, I knew that was a problem that my healers are now stuck, right? They're not going anywhere. So I try to recover by, I don't know why, but placing the bowlers over here. Just a bad plan in general. This is bad spam attack right there. So the question is, how do you solve some of those problems? So the first thing I did, and maybe, I won't show you well, I can't show you. I did about 9 attacks, iterating the walk from either this direction, trying to cut in back, and then I did some attempts to try to cut in this way. And the big issue that I had that I noticed was 2 things. One, this AD is really hard to target due to when you think about bowler walk. If you can even solve the first issue of bowler walk, which is the spread on corners, right, to get a good chunk of the units flowing without losing a lot to leakage, like where they're going not the direction you want, kind of leaking like 2 or 3 units. That's really actually a big issue. That's like hitting a spring trap. So if you can get around this leakage and you get past this, but you can't get a good shot to take down the AD before you go through, then as you continue along, your healers are going to get smoked, right? Because that AD's range is right about here. So no matter how I ran it, after about 9 ties, I was like, dude, I can't do it. And plus, I noticed that as I walked, I was getting pretty hammered right in this area by a lot of the amount of DPS that was here. You had a cannon, you had expos in both positions, you had an archer tower. There's a lot of DPS. So it was really difficult, one, in terms of getting past the AD, the edges were difficult, and also trying to get past the expos itself. So then Around the 10th time, I realized I could maybe switch out, and I went down low and tried that, tried to pull some low action because the expos down here were not as exposed. See how you can kind of, if you can get the flow going this way, there's a nice, all the way to this point, not really pressured path. And then you get some pressure in this regard. So I'll do 2 lines of pressure. Then it gets light, and then you could probably dive in, right? So that's where I focus. And this is the path that actually ended up being in. So let's resume now with looking at some of the attacks as I got closer. This is about, I was probably what, I'd say 15 to 17 attacks in now, tinkering with things. So let's resume at this point. I'll pause and then I'll just jump and I'll reactivate on certain attacks. So hang on. Okay, so here's the attack as I shifted down low, and there was one technique that I just tried out of on a whim, which is basically dual deploying 3 bowlers side by side with healers behind them. And notice how it did a nice job. If there's this building here, so there was 2 buildings that you were basically throwing on in this direction, and by clearing that, then they grab onto this 3rd building. So it's something maybe people want to think about when they're looking at corner, because that was a clean cut. And then notice we got, as I said, the AD throw was good. So right away I knew that there was something good going on. One with that little technique that I'll have to test out in different areas now, but also the flow of this pattern was a much better bowler walk. Now I dropped the king in this location thinking I needed to jump in. At this point I didn't have, you notice I wasn't running a mix. I did run a mix with wall breakers, but I basically I was kind of jumbled with my thinking at this point because I'm just, when I'm friendly challenging myself, I was kind of spamming them in there. But I come in, the king walks, some of them go wide. I don't really get the depth I need. So I know that I didn't do I need to do a better job on my wall breakers. And I realized that I had a lot more time to move further on actually to this box and if I got to that box, then 2 jumps could really get me through the base. So I think that's what we'll see next. And we don't need to watch. Well, I guess we could watch this. But here, let's go ahead and change my pen. So 56%. But you saw a lot of errors in that. So I was like, ooh, let's try it. So I'll pause again and we'll pull up another one. Okay, so here's the next attack. And actually, this was right after that one you just saw. We'll go ahead and play it again on a pretty quick clip. I'll do 4 times speed at the opening. So the opening is the very same that you see. We flow pretty well. Again, notice that dual deploy really seems to be nice. So it's a consistent thing. It wasn't a fluke. And we're coming around the corner. Now right here, I'm going to do a better job of, one, I shift the king up higher. And that actually makes sense, right? Because against a single, your king's never really going to be very helpful. So running him more on a king suicide on the outside is always probably better. And so that's what I end up doing. My wall breakers are into the 2nd box here. So that's, running the path a little bit longer. And then I have some giants coming in. So we'll do that. And in they go. Now, one thing I noticed on this attack was the jump placement's going to end up getting me too spread out. Now watch where my guys end up getting with the jumps. I put this jump way back here, and nobody gets there, right? I mean, well, they kind of get there, but they die because my queen ended up going wide because I'd given her jump access to the edge. And really, what I should have done is done more of a jump that was more in this area, I think, or I really didn't need to give access to this box because the bowlers can throw that distance. So maybe a little slower on the jump and see. So let's pause again, and then I'll pull up the next notable. Okay, so here's the final approach that I think on like the 21st attempt, somewhere around there, I made it. So the opening again is very similar. I actually had more bowlers here in the opening, 6 on 6, so 12. But actually that's pretty risky. You want to slow, as I did it other times. That 6 on 6 was more unstable actually. So 3 on 3 seems better, FYI, but it worked out in this situation. I was able to recreate this 3-star that you're going to see here, quite probably 80%, 90% success rate after I got it squared without any fancy pants stuff. But you'll notice some of the things that are different. before we go any further, notice I dropped the giants. And the reason why I did that is I was frustrated in the last attack. I felt like the giants got smoked too quickly by the singles. And I thought to myself, well, you know, having higher health, like double health, like a giant's probably like double the health, a little bit more than a bowler, isn't really helping me. And really, I'm kind of light on bowlers. I'm getting sprung. It's a long walk. So I dropped all 20 slots of bowlers and added 3 more bowlers. No, 20 slots of giants, and I added 3 bowlers and another minion. Under the theory that, you know, hey, what's really matters against the Inferno is the burn down time. We've got the healers behind the bowlers, so it's not a health issue for the healers or the bowlers. It's when they hit the Inferno that's going to matter. So we went with that approach, and I think that helped actually. So I think, you know, spamming mass giants versus just spamming more bowlers, I'm gonna, at least for a while, try out just spam more bowlers until against double singles is what against multiple against Infernos on multi. Clearly, giants are better because it saturates the threads, so you have more of your bowlers not getting blocked from healing. But that was one thing that changed on the mix, and then I think I changed one other thing. Let me look at it. I'm looking. No, it's the same. All right, so that was the big change that you see right here in terms of the mix change. Now everything else, the king suicide's the same, the entry point's the same, the jump point is the same, so I didn't really change that. It just so happens that the queen gets in there, and I rage her into the mid. The bowlers go mid, and they ignore. So the queen doesn't really, because the bowlers kind of nicked it up, the queen doesn't feel the need to jump it. And the other thing I think that mattered is that the king had been I dropped the king more towards the camp, so he had gotten further away by the time she saw that, and so she wasn't really getting pulled by other stuff out at the top. So there's some timing issue on the king suicide, I guess. And then at that point, you know, it's really just, you know, the healers are behind the bowlers, and the queen's pushing through, and bing bada boom. But look how far the king got in terms of that king suicide. And maybe that's a weakness of the base, as they're putting all this stuff inside. You know, a high health unit with air unit behind it can kind of really go places, or with wizards and air units behind it can kind of go places, especially when it's running in parallel with something in the mid. So there it is. Let's look at one more so you can kind of see the same flow again. So blah 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 blah. These are the ones I messed up I messed up my wall breakers. So if you miss your wall breakers, that's a bad day. So here's another of the same flow. Notice the 3x3, and then I augment back up to 12 once I turn the corner. But I started with 3-3. And that really helps you clear out, like, see how I cleared out that air sweeper? So then there goes the king. Rage him up. He tears around the corner. We got some people on the inside, and again, really nice clearing going through. And notice the deep, you know, you really got to get that wall breaker deep penetration. But with that penetration, given your walk cleared this, you're coming back this way off the walk, and you've got the king on the outside kind of pulling some fire potentially. Kind of makes sense that it works. So there you go. Another base unraveled. Took a little longer this time. But hey, as long as we all learn something, right? All right, guys, good luck in your wars, and I guess we'll talk to you in a little bit.
What am I gonna do? My clan sucks. Hey, it's JTJ.
I think that's an all-out attack.
No, it's the legendary JTJU. JTJU. What? I like Bloodhorn. You and this army. Download Clash of Clans for free. Then subscribe to JTJU and win.